Hello, everyone. My name is Emmanuel. I am your host tonight for the Trans Experience, which is a three-part series with trans-identified individuals talking about transgender issues. We have a panelist of Caden Haney, Kayla Finn, J.L. Presley, and Antonia or Tiana Bowman. Uh, First, we'll talk about some announcements, and then we'll go into bios of each person. Our first announcement is on June 6th is the Mongays, which is all proceeds for the nations. It's at Bird Theater, and they will be screening Port Authority movie. Another set of announcements Kayla will take for the nation's pageantry. Kayla, will you talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. Join us this September 24th, 2022. Nations Pageantry System presents Mr. and Miss Nations, Nations Plus, and Duke and Duchess. For more information or details to attend or compete, you can contact myself, Kayla Finn, via Facebook, Zykia Jamassier, or Javon Mays, Mr. Nations. So please feel free to reach out for any information for the Mr. Miss Duke and Duchess Nations Pageantry, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Kayla. Next, we'll go to Tiana for some Transcend or Nations Foundation Transcend program updates.
Um, we are gearing up for our Transcend Pride, which is June 25th. From 10 to 4 here, we'll be doing a health fair, and health and informational fair from 10 to 4. Come on out. We have great community partners who will be joining us. If you are a transcend participant, will also be having trans folks talking about HIV and AIDS from June 2nd through the 31st. All are welcome to participate. Please reach out to me for any links or more information.
Great, thank you, Tiana. Next, we're gonna go into our panel. The topics that we will be starting with will be coming to terms with being trans. The next will be healthcare, and lastly will be trans in the workplace. But first, let's get to know each panelist. First, we'll start with me. My name is Emmanuel. I use they them pronouns. I am currently a student at VCU pursuing a master's in social work, which is the abbreviation is MSW. My focus is in health equity for the trans community. I began advocating for the rights of the trans community after experiencing my own barriers to care and my own medical transition. I am an intern for Nations Foundation, and I sit on the Emerging Leaders Council for Health Brigade in Richmond, Virginia. Um, Next, we'll be talking about J.L. Presley. He uses he/him pronouns. He was born in Richmond, Virginia, and raised in the DCMD area. He has four sisters, two older and two younger. He is a father of six, of whom two are deceased. He is a grandfather, great grandfather, and great great grandfather to two handsome boys. He is one of the co-founders, organizers for DC Black Gay Pride, not now known as Black LGBTQIA Plus Pride Federation. He is a former member and deacon at Unity Fellowship Church Incorporated under the late Archbishop Carl Bean. He is one of the founding line members of Alpha Omega Kappa Fraternity Incorporated and current member of the Alpha Colony. He currently is reconstructing his own travel business called Divine Destinations. He loves to sing, listen to music, watch old movies, and have fun. Welcome, JL.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Caden Haney. He uses he/him pronouns. He is a 23-year-old transgender man that grew up in Charlottesville, Virginia. He now resides in Richmond, where he attends VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. Caden is actively involved in spaces that provide community engagement, emotional support, social opportunities for transgender individuals. Caden also works closely with underrepresented populations, and he is also an HIV STI counselor at Nations Foundation. Thank you, Caden, and welcome.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kayla, she/her pronouns. She is a native of Florida and currently resides in Richmond, Virginia, where she is the PrEP navigator and one of the HIV STI testing counselors at the Nations Foundation. Her goal is to communicate her community on sexual health awareness and the importance of the work she does within her LGBTQIA plus community. She aspires to be the very best at anything that she does or any goal she sets for herself. As a survivor of the Pulse nightclub tragedies, she felt that she was given a chance at life for a much bigger calling and purpose, and that purpose was to live her best life by being her authentic self while giving back to her community. Through education and navigating through her life as an African American trans woman, she is a proud member of the AIDS United Free cohort. The, Elevate Activate program, which is a program designed for professional development and fellowship for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. She is also known for her many accomplishments in the LGBTQIA plus pageantry community, as being a former Miss Continental Elite, Miss Black Universe, and Miss Black America, which are only a few of her many accomplishments. She has been blessed to travel abroad and meet incredible people while touching lives through her education and life experiences. Welcome, Kayla.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Of course. And lastly, but not forgotten at all, Tiana Bowman. Tiana, is a Ryland Rohn fellow for VDH, where she is employed as a program administrator specialist 1. Oh, sorry. Tiana is also a national ambassador for the Kaiser Family Foundation, representing the state of VA as one of 4 PrEP ambassadors. Tiana has been advocating for the Virginia transgender community since 2018. She is also one of Nations Foundation's Transcend Specialists. Her motto is, "Everything happens for a reason. It's up to you to learn the lessons intended." Welcome, Tiana. All right, so we're going to get started. So the first set of questions and topics will be coming to terms with being trans. I'll start the floor with, what experiences can you do now that you never thought you could do pre-coming out and or transitioning? We can start with JL.
Why do I always know when I'm trying to sit in the back of the room, I'm going to get called first?
You're the most experienced.
Are you just trying to say I'm the oldest on here? Come on.
I did not say that.
Well, okay. So one of the things that I can do now, prior to me coming out, is I can live my authentic self. I don't have to hide and try to be somebody else. I don't have to live what was called living behind the mask. Once I removed the mask and became the young man that I am, then it actually liberated me to be able to move forward and to move with no hesitations, with no limitations, no lockdowns, nothing. I could just go and be who I am. So that's one of the things that I could do.
Does anyone want to piggyback or have a different opinion?
I like that too, JL. Yeah, just being my authentic self, living my life to the fullest, not worried about what anyone feels or have to say about me or towards me because of my beautiful transness. Being more comfortable in my skin, and just disclosing certain things to certain individuals that I feel comfortable with, because I had this thing where I just did not feel the need to tell that or disclose that, hey, I'm trans. But just now I'm just kind of it's different from me and just living in my truth. So absolutely.
I would definitely have to piggyback off of JL and Kayla. Just being able to be my authentic self, being able to just love all of me, and it's what I can do now, that versus how I was before my transition began.
Caden?
Yeah, so I think my answer kind of coincides with what everyone else has said already. I think I've realized that I can really get to a place where I'm content. You know, I never saw that for myself pre-transition. I didn't even think I'd be alive here sitting, you know, on a virtual panel with you all tonight, this evening. But it's taken some serious self-care work and sticking with therapy and, you know, trying to get in touch with myself and being introspective, which is something that I've avoided for a really long time. So I think it's important to keep in mind that, you know, this kind of maintenance and just living as your authentic self is something that just doesn't stop because you've completed a physical transition. It's something that's, you know, ongoing. living as your authentic self and learning and growing continually.
Yeah, I would also like to piggyback on everyone. For me, the medical transition was an extremely important component to things that I never thought I could do. Like, I think I had a lot more social anxiety, and with medical interventions, I was able to really work on that and feel more comfortable in my skin. So that kind of leads into the next question. What are some examples of how your medical or social transition has brought you joy? So an example of this is when I got top surgery, being able to go to the beach or go to a pool was a lot more comfortable for me, to the point where I didn't even think twice about what I was going to do, how I was going to have fun. It brought so much joy. So I was wondering, and maybe we can start with Kayla this time, what that is for you.
Oh, for me, I'm just gonna be honest. Getting my breast augmentation, it was many moons ago. It was like in my 20s, but that was so gratifying for me as a trans woman. Like, I just dreamed of having a breast, and I was tired of wearing the little inserts because they would sweat and they would be smelly by the end of the day. And I just wanted like natural breasts where I don't have to take them off at night or put them back on. So I think my breast augmentation for me was the most gratifying surgery that I have ever had. Actually, it's one of the only surgeries I've had, actually. So yeah.
Is there anything like socially speaking in your social transition that has been easier now or more joyful now?
No, I've been lucky from like the beginning. Nothing that would stick out more now. The only thing that sticks out more now to me is that I've learned to like love myself, flaws and all, and I'm just like so comfortable with me now. Like, me looking in the mirror every day, I'm just so happy because this is me. This is who I'm gonna be. This is who I am, and I'm happy with that. So yeah.
Anyone else?
Okay, now I'm gonna jump in because one of the things that you hit on, Emmanuel, was one of the things that this year actually, I had my top surgery done in 2019, but because COVID hit, of course, nobody was going anywhere. There were no pools open. I was not going to the beach. So I had to walk around like, okay, I got all this done and now I got no place to go. That's crazy. But this year I went down, they didn't go very far. I went down to Virginia Beach, had a hotel room, was just relaxing for my birthday, whole nine, and got ready to go into the pool. And honestly, I hesitated getting ready to get in the pool. It wasn't the very fact that, what I had on, it's the very fact that I still had on a shirt. I had on a swim guard, and I was like, wait, JL, you don't have to do this anymore.
Yep.
You don't have to hide anymore. Oh, snap! And the shirt comes off, and I go in the pool, and I'm just having myself a ball. And it's the very fact that I get to celebrate that, and I get to celebrate it with other trans men as well, to let them know, those who are coming up on their surgeries, these are some of the liberties of what's going to happen. These are some of the freedoms of what you're going to have. I have to be honest with you too. I moved into my house in September of 2020, and it got dead cold somewhere around in October, beginning of November. Like a nitwit, but who was happy at the same time, I go outside with sweatpants on and no shirt. Not even a wife beater. I had on absolutely no shirt at all. And just go to take out the trash. Yep. Who does that in November in coldness?
Somebody happy.
Exactly. And so, and you know what, the other thing too, and I'm really not going, I'm going to try to say this as fast as possible, but the social thing about being happy about my transition and stuff as well is the very fact that, number one, physically, I don't have to hunch over anymore. Because, when you're top heavy and you're trying to hide it, you're always hunched over. Well, I'm starting to realize now that part of my back problems are because of the very fact that I've hunched over for so long, and now I'm starting to stand up. And it feels good to be able to stand up and say, you know what? this is who I am. This is the guy. You know, everybody kind of knows my funny story about, you know, when I came out of surgery, I thought I didn't have it done. Kind of found out I had a belly. Didn't know I had a belly all these many years. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just, you know, that's one of the social things. A very fact of just being able to be who I am. I don't have to walk outside and hunch over, and I don't have to sweat in 90-degree weather anymore either, from all of that tying down that I had to do, or sweating in the middle of winter when I should have been cold, and I'm sitting there sweating like a pig. Yeah, all that's gone now. So yes,
we love that. Tiana.
For me, I can say that I've never really had any real legal surgeries. However, I will speak to something that was personal to me. It's no secret that I have keloid skin and I have these scars. And for a great period of time in my life, they were something that made me hide. But I can say with great enthusiasm today that I've embraced them and I am happy to have them. It shows that I've been through something, was able to come through. So.
Yes. Hayden?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's really important to highlight how intertwined mental health and physical appearance can be. You know, my mental health improved dramatically after, you know, receiving the physical medical care that I needed to align more closely with my gender identity. So things like going out with friends or meeting new people has been a lot easier. It doesn't feel as unbearable as it used to be. And I'm more confident and I enjoy being out and interacting with people. So that's the joy that it brings me, but it also brings an array of emotions as well. You know, before transition, most of the time I felt like a zombie. I wasn't really quite there, but, you know, actually, you know, being able to, you know, feel sadness and be like, oh my gosh, I'm alive, I'm living this, you know, feeling authentic emotions in your authentic self is such a blessing. So, yeah.
Thank you. All right, before we go into the next question, we're going to head back into the announcement around June 6th, Mongays. Again, all proceeds go to Nations. This is at Bird Theater. They will be screening Port Authority movie, and we would love to see you there and spend some money and have some nice food and bring your friends. We will show a trailer for Port Authority now.
Okay, so what's your name? Yeah. I'm Y. I get rehearsal every Friday and Wednesday here. You want to see me just like pull up?
I have this anger thing. Gets me in trouble. Get off! I can take care of myself. Yeah, I saw that.
Does anybody know you're here? Aren't you on probation?
Are you lost?
What?
Who you here with?
No shade. I seen you with my friend Y. If you have a thing for the girls, that's fine. Just do your thing with someone else.
What is he doing here?
That's my friend.
So those aren't your real brothers?
Not in the most traditional way.
Can anyone do it? Nah, not this category. It's for the femme queens. Femme queen? She told you, right? She told you she was trans.
This is my family. You gotta look around.
Maybe I don't want people thinking I'm something I'm not.
Tell me you didn't feel anything.
You know what can happen to a black trans girl in New York City? She definitely don't need no felony on record.
When did you know you liked me?
Who says I like you? I just think about taking back all the space that the world doesn't give me and just owning it.
It's actually a really good movie. I've actually
Yeah,
seen
it looks so good.
It's the bomb.
It
I
looks
like it. I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, so again, Nations Mongays, June 6th, Bird Theater. All proceeds go to Nations, and we'll be screening that movie. We'd love to see you there. And now getting back into our panel, we'll finish out the first topic, and the question is, in what ways do you show up for yourself as a trans person navigating a majority population of cisgender people? What self-care brings you comfort? Let's start with Caden on this one.
Okay. So obviously from the way I look, I can pass off as a cisgender man, but I am not. I take pride in being a trans individual. How I go about navigating the world, I try to be visibly out when I can be, when it's safe, just to show younger people that it's okay to be your authentic self and to live and express yourself as a way you see fit. Something that brings me comfort, kind of like a self-care thing that I like to do.
Something about myself. I am.
Well, heard some feedback. But yeah, something that I like to do for self-care is just going to the gym, and that's my meditation time right there, to really be in tune with myself, and that's what brings me comfort. I pass it off to someone else.
Yeah. Does anyone want to piggyback?
For me, navigating a cisgender world. Well, in my mind, I am a cisgender woman, regardless of, the facts that are there. But when I walk out of my house or I go into any setting, I am a woman. I am a cisgender woman in my mind, outside of the medically. And for me, self-care, what brings me comfort, self-care, a good massage, or just a good day at a spa where you can do the sauna, you can do a massage, you probably do a salt room. Just like a day of self-care is like the best comfort for me, honestly.
Yeah, thank you. JL?
Okay, so for me, first of all, navigating in a cisgender. Okay, so it's like for me, for navigating the cisgender world, it's easy because I just open the door and walk out. That's just it. It's just simple. There's no trying to do something extra or out of the ordinary, anything like that, because I just don't do that. I am who I am. Now, when it comes to self-care, one of the things that I do like to do is on a lazy Saturday, just watch movies. Or when I really want to take care of myself, I go to get a pedicure. And I will sit there and tell them to make me either, go ahead and do 2-3 other people. Let me just let my feet soak. And I'm just meditating at that very moment, take about 4 more people. Let me just give me some hot water and let my feet soak. And then, it's just, doing that. And then just kind of like, just being me, just relaxing. And like I said, watching old movies. Anybody that knows, I'm probably getting ready to tell my age, but anything, about Imitation of Life. I like to sit around and just watch those old movies like that. But that's what I do.
So you be inviting the ladies over for Netflix and chill.
I'm gonna put my mic on mute on that one.
For me, navigating a cisgender world, I would have to say I've never really had issues when it came to cisgender world. Growing up, most of my friends were cisgender. They supported me for who I was and how I was. I've never always have been the type of person where I'm used to just doing me and being me, and not worried about what somebody else has to say about me. As far as self-care, when it comes to self-care for me, I love to just curl up in bed and watch a good horror movie or a nice sci-fi movie.
Nice. Yeah.
There's some other things, but I'm just gonna keep that to myself.
All right.
All right, Kayla.
So we're gonna jump into our next topic, which is being trans in the healthcare system. Well, my first question for you all is, in what ways have you experienced transphobia in the general healthcare system? So that can look like mental health, that can look like physical health, that can look like resources pertaining to health. Let's start with Magic Ball. Let's do Kayla.
Yes, I love this topic because when I was living in Orlando back in like 2010 to 2015, I had an amazing doctor, Dr. Pinero. He was very familiar with the LGBT community. He knew trans care. He knew how to provide for me things that I needed done. I was able to have things done. And I moved from Orlando to Jacksonville. And it was the worst thing ever because I did not find anyone even close to the care in this area that even knew how to care for trans individuals. So that was very disheartening. And then the insurance company that I had with my new job did not cover the particular doctor because I was willing to drive 2 hours just for this care, because as a trans person, when you meet a doctor that just understands you, they are available for you, the care that you get, it's like you will make any sacrifice to stick with that doctor. But unfortunately, I was not able to. So I go into my healthcare plan with the company I'm working for, and I'm researching all these doctors because this is something we have to do. You can't just pick and choose a doctor as a trans person to just go to because everyone's not familiar at all. So I picked this doctor that I thought was going to be compatible for me because he was gay. Okay. Big mistake. He had no idea about trans care, what kind of medication I required or was needed. He had no information. So it can be a total nightmare depending on where you live or where you're located. Because then I moved to Connecticut with my company, and they had a LGBT like center, which was for trans people. It had doctors, it had therapists. So it just kind of depends on where you are and where you're placed, your insurance coverage. I love UVA in Charlottesville because no matter what division I go to there, they are so trans friendly. They are very aware of asking you your pronouns, whether it's the surgeon or the intake individual. So that's somewhere where I feel really embraced. I feel comfortable. I feel welcomed and wanted. And that's so important as a trans individual. So you really just have to do your research. And for anyone out there that's looking for doctors, because I've lived in so many places, feel free to reach out to me. I have no problem navigating you in the right direction, whether it's for a silicone removal, primary care doctor, because some cities are just not trans friendly at all. So yeah.
Thank you, Gila. Yeah, for a lot of trans folks, insurance, navigating big systems, they're not really made for us. So it's really important that we talk about the joy and also the intense struggle of these bigger systems working sometimes for us and sometimes against us.
Absolutely.
Kaden, do you have anything?
Well, yeah, I agree with what Kayla had mentioned. There are disparities in the healthcare system of where you can get, affirming trans care, gender affirming care. Some issues that I've had navigating the healthcare system, I would say I really don't have issues with a lot of the medical care providers or mental health professionals. It's mostly people that I see at the receptionist desk who are ignorant to how to handle trans patients and clients. So what I would like to see to combat what you see on a regular basis in the healthcare system is just more safe zone training, more LGBTQ awareness on how to handle these patients, and basically, walk them through the process as any other human being, and not necessarily like a specimen, like, oh, come over here, look, we got a trans person. That's still a person at the end of the day. So just more education, I think, would really help in the healthcare system, not just with the medical and mental health professionals, but just encompassing all, people that work in that system. I think it would make for a better experience for all trans folks.
Yeah, something like client-centered advocacy rather than a bunch of resources that we have. Like, we're doing all the work here, but also it's really important to meet the client where they are and also like advocate for them as an individual.
Yeah.
JL, would you like to add?
I'm gonna make mine real short because a lot of people know my story. Some people do and some people don't. But I had the traumatic experience once I moved back here to Richmond, of having a doctor who literally walked into the room, and when I told him, I'm going through my transition, because I had started in New York, moved down here to Richmond, and instead of him at least trying to be understanding or trying to understand what was going on, he decided to crack the door open, walk out, leave the door crack, and go out and tell people in the hallway she's a him, or she thinks he's a him, or and I mind you, I'm hearing all these comments, and people are walking by, and I'm like, this for real? This how we gonna do this? Right. So at that time, I was not as even-tempered as I am now, and I did say quite a few things. They called for security, and I told them, I said, you all don't have to call security. I'm leaving on my own, but I just have a few things I want to say right here and right now. And so they some things that, if I say it, they're going to cut us off. So, and I told them, this is, you don't treat me like a spectacle. This is not a side freak show. This is not that. This is a person. I'm a person who's actually trying to get medical attention. And there are certain things that I'm going to need. And so, by the time he got finished and he was, poking and making fun and the whole nine, me and my pen, because my aunt always told me, your pen is your most powerful voice. I put pen to paper and I sent out letters and I sent out all kinds of statements, and he was disbarred. Bottom line, you're not going to treat another person like that. You're not going to treat another trans man behind me like this. So I was able to go ahead and move forward. I finally did find another doctor. The first doctor that I did have over on Patterson Avenue is all I'm gonna say. The first one didn't know what he was doing. Thank God he retired, so he moved on. The second one came in and knew exactly what he was doing. He got me everything that I needed. He ran all the blood work. He was doing everything. Everything was perfect. I get a letter in the mail last year that he was moving on to a different practice, and I was devastated. And I'm like, I don't believe this. What am I supposed to do? So the next one comes in now. He has no idea. I got to start him all the way from the beginning. I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I can't keep doing this. I'm 58 years old. I need a doctor that know what they're doing, and I don't have to keep walking in and re-educating them over and over and over again. So I'm in that process now of just trying to find another doctor that knows what they're doing. But, the good piece about the medical part, though, as far as my top surgery is concerned, is the very fact that I found a very good surgeon who knew what he was doing when it came to my top surgery. But
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, JL. It's really, I mean, self-advocacy as a trans person is kind of our MO, and it's on the one hand, like, really powerful thing to learn that skill. On the other hand, it's very daunting and exhausting. Thank you for sharing. Tiana, would you like anything to add to this conversation?
I would have to agree with all of my fellow panelists, especially with Miss Finn, Miss Kayla, when she was saying how it's kind of hard to move on when you've got the perfect doctor. I'm like in that situation right now since I've moved to Richmond. all of my doctors are still in the Hampton Roads area, and I hesitate to move away from them because they know me. When I first started dealing with I never really ran into real issues with the medical with doctors and stuff until I started going into the till I started going into the health department, and dealing with them was like the worst for me. 1 minute I meet one of them and they'll call me Miss, or they'll say she, or they'll say her, and then turn right around and meet the next person and it's he and him. And it was part of the reason that got me started in my public health advocacy. I felt like if they seen us working with them, they had a chance to ask questions, get to know us, understand that we're just like them, human. So for me, I would definitely agree with everyone, especially Ms. Finn. It is so hard for trans people to move away. When you move away to kind of like move your doctors, and so.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're constantly in a predicament as trans people. Of I know another experience in the hospital or in a lobby system where they'll use your first name and it's your legal name, but it's your dead name, and it's really important that a lot of these places know how to be trauma informed and inclusive to the LGBTQ community, because it can really make the person not want to come back, and then they don't receive care like they should. That which kind of leads into our next topic, or our next question. It's We can start with this one: is how do we navigate emergency rooms, hospital systems when we don't have a caregiver with us? If we are just there by ourselves, what are some tips and tools for people maybe who are watching that might, like, what do you do to self-advocate in the moment, in the now? I'm not talking about later when you're working with systems later to make it right. How do you advocate for yourself in the moment?
Honey, first of all, I'm gonna start off. I just don't play those types of games. If you get it wrong, I straighten you right then and there. You have to in these times. If you allow them to keep saying it and keep doing it, then every time you come in there, they're gonna see you for what they want to see you, or call you whoever they want to call you. And for me, I straighten it right then and there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You should address it in the moment. Even if you feel the service you're getting before any dialogue takes place and you're just not feeling the energy,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of will address it then before they even start getting the pronouns wrong. But definitely addressing it in the moment, not letting it, because it can be that can affect someone majorly. So I just think that we have to be adults and we have to open our mouths and address it in the moment. Like, hey, I didn't appreciate the way you addressed me. These are my pronouns. Let me, like just basically addressing those issues in the moment and not letting them fester or build up. Because for someone of trans experience, they can just call you he and call you wrong pronouns, the wrong name when you went over this. So just address those things in the moment and let them know, I'm not here to play this. I may be down, I may be ill, but look, honey, I'm just not here for this tonight or today. The pronouns are she, her. The name is Kayla. Like, address it in the moment. Like, let them know. Like, speak up for yourself.
Yeah, you have to get to the point where you speak up for yourself, because one of the things that I did learn as years go by, and some of you all may have heard about it, maybe you might have been teenagers when it happened, but there was one trans woman in DC who actually was in a car accident. I mean, it was a terrible car accident. They pulled her out of the car, and they started the paramedics started working on her. And once they got to the point of having to tear off clothes and things of that nature, the statement that came out, and I'm quite sure that this particular paramedic will never ever do it again in life, because he costed DC $3.7 million. He jumped back and said, "Oh, she's a he, and they stopped working on her. She died on the scene.
I remember that.
Therefore, DC, the medical system and the whole thing had to pay this family $3.7 million for a wrongful death case going on. And they won. They did win because a lot of us got together and decided that we were going to campaign. We were going to stay in the streets. We were going to stay in their faces. And you were going to pay this money because what you did was wrong. And so from that point, it made me also be real cognizant that when I go to the emergency room, now there was one time that I did go and I had somebody with me and we weren't talking fast enough. Because when they came in, they were ready to start ripping off clothes. I was like, whoa, hold on, hold it. Because I'm not trying to go through. Wait, just slow down here. Hold on, I'm not dying. Let's do one thing at a time here. And so I had to kind of let them know to navigate through it. Now, the last time I went to the hospital by myself, I told them right up front, he, him, King. My name is JL. It is legally JL. Or all my paperwork it says JL. All my paperwork says I'm male, and let's make sure that we're all clear about that. Had no problems with that from that day forward. And so I try to navigate and I try to advocate for other trans brothers as well, which is sometimes why I tend to be a little over the top, sorry to say, but it's just who I am. That's just my hugger bear type, my nature of I don't want other brothers to have to go behind me and have to be misgendered going into the emergency room. Be my as both Miss T and Kayla has both stated. Address it in the moment because if you don't, it will get out of hand very quickly.
It will. It very will.
Going navigating, because when you're passable and they're asking me, "Oh, when was your last period?" and me thinking that's just, "Oh, I'm fish, I'm turning it. Oh, 2 weeks ago," and not knowing, girl, they might not even get to care for you properly because now they think you're a woman and you're not biologically a woman, so you have to stop doing that. And then now I get "Well, when was your last period?" There is no period, honey. And they're like, did you have a hysterectomy? No, I'm a trans woman, and it's always like that. Well, what? Just being honest, because I used to do it all the time, about about like the period and just like, and I'm like, you may not even be getting treated properly or the proper care or the right dosage of a medication, because of, they're thinking you're biologically a woman. That's even like having surgeries. You want to be honest with your plastic surgeon because they may give a woman a different dosage of anesthesia from someone born biologically male. So just being honest in the moment and not taking advantage of your passable privilege. That's cute for some things, but not when it comes to medically being correct.
Right.
That's a really good point, Kayla. Kaden, would you like to add?
Well, I think everyone's correct when it comes to addressing things at the moment and just being cautious of, like I personally am a person that's, pretty passive. I'm non-confrontational, but I think when it comes to misgendering and addressing pronouns, it's important to establish those boundaries up front and as soon as possible. I also think it's, important to be cognizant, especially if you're in, I think the question was talking about navigating emergency rooms and hospital systems when you don't have a caregiver with you. Just to be cognizant of, like what your comfortability is with things that, the doctor might be asking you to do, because I know JL had expressed some experiences that he had in the past. Not all doctors are ethical doctors, and being trans patients, there can be predatory things that go on. So, if there's ever a point in time where they're asking you to do something or get undressed, where it's not really necessary or pertinent to the things that you're, going to for the checkup for. Take a moment to step back, call someone, call a relative, a friend or family member, just to make sure that this is okay. And if you're uncomfortable, would it be better to leave? But, always advocate for yourself. That's the number one thing.
Yeah. Great. I think that leads kind of into the future of this question, which is something I've been pondering my own self. And I think about my fellow trans elders or trans older generations. And I think about this question for them. And the question is, what does end of life care nursing homes look like for us in the next 10 to 20 years? Especially if we are medically transitioned, how do we administer estrogen or testosterone with nurses that we may not trust or do trust? Just like looking down the line next 10 to 20 years, when our lifespans grow greater than 35 years past the average, what is the future look like for us? Does anyone want to start with this, or I will pick someone?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go because I'm the trans elder. Since I'm the trans elder in the room, let's just go ahead and face that right now. Okay. Okay, so actually in the next 10 to 15 years, actually, you know what? This is something actually you have to start looking at right now. You can't even look down further down 10 years. You got to start looking at it right now. What is that going to look like in 10 years though? But here is the saving hope of all of this. There are a lot of senior living facilities now that are now coming on board with LGBTQIA. One being, and I don't know if this is a free advertisement for them, but Avery Point. They are now stepping on board and saying we are open, we understand, we want to learn even more because we don't know it all. That's one of the things that I can appreciate about them. And getting further down the line, I keep saying that when I get older, I just want to stay home. Just leave me here at my house. Let me grow old and let my house be my nursing home. But at the same time also is, do we have enough people that are training now that as I get older, they will know how to administer my testosterone? Because at some particular point, hopefully it won't happen until I'm 90. But if my hands start getting a little shaky, I need to make sure I get all my tea in the needle, and I need to make sure all that tea get inside of me. And so if I can't do it, I need to make sure that there is medical personnel that know what they're doing, health aid nurse, home health aid that come in. Okay, slow down. That know exactly what it is that they're doing. And so 10 years from now, we'll say, okay, you know what? We set that in motion 10 years ago. So 2022 should not look the same as 2032. 2032, they ought to be already ready to go because they've trained starting in 2022. Miss Kayla?
Well, I'm so hopeful of things, and I hope that the newer generation is evolving and educating themselves more properly compared to our generation when we started. So hopefully care for us will be good. If not, maybe we should start laying the foundation for a good trans care home that maybe could be, that we can probably start in different cities and states. Like maybe we need to look into that and start advocating, for, proper trans care for elderly trans individuals.
David?
Hopefully it looks good. Hopefully.
Tiana, did you want to go or?
Oh, I can go. I would say because when I first, I would say that I've actually worked in a nursing home as a CNA. So I can tell you firsthand, whether you're trans or whether you're cisgender, you're basically getting the same kind of care because it's up to the CNA or the caregiver at that point to do it. So I kind of agree with Kayla when she says the training. Maybe we need to suggest more classes or more educational, vocational training to some of the trans identified individuals in that for that field. Give them some kind of insight of what that field looks like, so that maybe they may want to participate in that field. Because for me, as a trans woman, when I was working in that field, um, I seen it all. I mean, I participated. I mean, I said like as if saying that the care, it depends on the caregiver. I've been in situations where I did not give the best care, and I knew I was not giving the best care. But I did the best that I could do at that time. So I would definitely say maybe we should start teaching the younger generation that, you know, if you're going to go into medical, you may want to go in the medical field, and these are some of the reasons why.
Yeah, also just like the social constructs around nursing medical students understanding us as individuals when they walk into a room with caregivers or other people is really important when navigating family members and the patient. I can see how a lot of questions around like if there's a transphobic family member, how that conversation can be really hard to navigate as the provider, and being educated on the basics of who we are can also make that situation probably, hopefully, better for the patient. Because I'm thinking about the older generations that might not be able to speak for themselves. They're like incapacitated for some reason, or they're under anesthesia, whatever the circumstances. Hopefully, their caregivers are LGBT supportive. And if not, the provider should be able to navigate that situation. And I think, like JL said, that starts with education now, and also teaching generations before us and also generations that are working in it right now to help LGBT people have safe experiences in elder care. All right, so our final topic are trans and workplace settings. Being trans in workplace settings. Our first question of this topic is when do you or do not self disclose in the workplace? And we can start with Tiana on this one if you would like to do that. Tiana, you're on mute.
I basically self-disclose within my resume. It's in my resume that I am a trans woman of color. Um, I I just believe in being upfront and realistic about the situation. Period. Either you're gonna hire me for the skills that I have, or you're basically hiring me because of who I am.
Me personally, I don't disclose. I don't think it's their business. My work ethic, my organizational skills, my communication skills, none of that has anything to do with who I am or what I am. So I don't think it's necessary, honestly, because depending on what kind of setting you're working in, and it's so many employees, and then just like the gossiping, and then people looking at me, sideways. So I just rather not disclose it. When I worked for like in corporate settings or corporate America, I just didn't think it was important unless I built friendships with individuals and we became close after so long working together, and I know that they, had my back or they were not discriminatory. I would probably disclose that to them because we have built a personal relationship or bond. But as far as me coming in the door announcing it to an entire company, absolutely not.
That's fair. Kaden?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about this question. So I'm fairly young. I'm 23. I transitioned as a minor, 16 years old. So I've been out unintentionally for such a long time navigating the transition process, and now I've come to a point where I do have that option to not disclose or select who I want to share that information with. But as I've become more comfortable in my own skin, the more, I don't think it's something that I should hide necessarily. And it's not something that I put on my resume like Tiana, but it's something that I'm not afraid to share with people. I think one of my favorite things to do is casually disclose the information and getting those double takes like, wait, what? You could have fooled me. So when I choose to disclose, most of the time it's when I'm with other trans individuals. I think seeing someone that's, survived and has made it to a point where they're thriving and able to enjoy life, I think that's an important, visual to see for other folks that are still going through that process. I personally want to be someone that I needed, when I was going through that process. You don't see a lot of young Black transgender men in the Charlottesville area. It's just not going to happen. So when I'm able to be out, I definitely am. As far as disclosing in the workplace, I'm really fortunate to not live, but work at Nations Foundation, where, I can be out and I don't have to worry about any discriminatory practices. So I'm really grateful for that, and, just being visible for those that can't be.
Dale?
Well, unfortunately, excuse me, mine is a two-edged sword. So my job is very much trans affirmative when they want to be. Now, I think that's on a national level, because that's because who they are. I work for a major pharmaceutical company that everybody goes to. That's on every other corner there. It's across the street from Walgreens. So I'm gonna just leave it like that. Let me just say it's CVS. So CVS can be very much trans affirming. However, on a local level, and more of the rich, like in the city office, they're not as inclusive and not as affirming, not so embracive. I'm quite sure that if all of my co-workers found out that I was actually a trans man, that all hell would bust loose. But guess what? I'm still going to be the same guy anyway that y'all fell in love with back in 2017. So what's the difference, But I choose not to disclose. I think actually there's only one person in the entire company who knows who I am. And that's because we worked at another company together. So long as I show up to work and get my work done and do what I'm supposed to do and live by the 5 bullet points that we're supposed to and do what I'm supposed to do, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I can. But when I do need to be out as a trans man is when we come to the smaller conferences and people know in the smaller conferences who I am. And what was interesting is, and I swear I'm gonna wrap this up, when I went to the smaller conference that we had online, I didn't realize that my story was empowering some other people that worked in the same company. So it's kind of like I said, it's a double-edged sword. It's one of those things of I want to disclose, but then again, I don't want to disclose. So I'm kind of battling with that back and forth. But like I said, at workplace, I really don't tell anybody. I just show up, that big old bald head guy.
Yeah, so that brings
I just want to clarify something. When I say I put masks on my resume, this is because I've been in situations where I am always afraid to do the job because I'm scared someone is going to out me or I'm going to do something and they're going to take away something and say, oh, why did they do it like that? I do that because sometimes I've also been in positions where I go into a job setting and there are other trans-identified individuals in that job setting that are hiding. And if they see a person like me walk in who is unafraid to be authentically me, whether it is on the job setting, whether it is in the streets, they end up coming out as well. But to be afraid to do the job makes me if I'm scared that I'm gonna be outed, then how can I effectively do my job?
Yeah, that's a good point, Tiana. That kind of leads into the next question. if you work in advocacy or an LGBTQI setting like Nations, in what ways does it make it easier and not easier to talk about our experiences? And if you don't work like JL in advocacy settings, how do you navigate your trans identity? Does anyone want to kick off?
I'll start because it was my experiences that got me to where I am today. I got into the Kaiser Family Foundation as a prep ambassador because of my experiences with street work. It was my experiences that got me into the CBOs that I worked at. It is my experiences that got me into VDH. So I I basically rely on my experiences to fulfill any job that I'm in. My experiences makes me a better advocate because I know what most people that are like me, I've been those that are on the wrong side of the track, I've been there. Those that are on the right side of the track, I've been there too. So it is those experiences that I rely on to make me a better advocate.
I agree with that. But that working in the advocacy setting, yes, it makes it definitely easier to speak on your experiences, walk the walk, talk the talk, because this is a setting where we're comfortable and this is what we're here for. We're here to, navigate younger individuals or individuals from our experiences and things of that nature. Now, however, when you work in a corporate America setting, I don't feel the need personally, and to each his own, to come in announcing who and what I am, because I don't want that to block them seeing my work ethic and what I'm capable of as an employee at a Fortune 500 company. So I'd rather show my work ethic, show what I'm capable of, climb the ladder, and then say, I am a Black trans woman. Because I think people often will stereotype you or not give you the opportunities in certain settings. And that's why I feel the need for me personally not to announce that. And like I said, working in the advocacy setting is totally different. I'm very comfortable with who I am, very comfortable in sharing my stories. It's just different for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Kaden?
Yeah, so I feel like advocacy work in my position can be a little bit tricky.
We're on a Zoom and we're about to wrap up. Come on.
That was one of Kayla's clients. All right, so I'm going to be pretty brief. So I feel like my position here at Nations and advocacy work can be a little bit tricky. I take my role as a facilitator pretty seriously and guiding people to getting, the resources that they need and the aid that they need. It's not really about me sharing my experiences per se, but I'll guide you to the right directions and where you need to go to get the access to things that you need. The way I do bond and, share my experiences with some of the LGBTQ identified folks, specifically the trans men that come in, I feel like sharing my experiences can be a little bit easier to do when we're actually doing activities together versus maybe, getting in a round table and just talking about our feelings. I feel like men are able to bond with activities more say. So if you want to come to the gym with me, after group, let's lift and we can talk about some of the experiences that I've had, some of the experiences that you've had. But at the end of the day, my advocacy work is, pretty linear. And what I'm doing, I'm trying to get you the help that you need to get to where you want to be. And that's what I love about the job.
Right. All right, JL.
All right. So, as I stated before, because I don't work in advocacy, which sometimes I wish I did, but at the job that I do right now, like I said, it's more of going in and speaking to, we have what's called the Black something resources group. I can't remember what the C stands for. But anyway, so we go in and there's this group and there are trans, LGBT, QIA, everybody that's in this room only relate to one another. And so when going into this room, I'm starting to find out some of the parts of me does do an advocacy, but it's just on a different type of level. When I go in, I can be able to talk to them about how we are empowered one another and how we have to be able to practice safe sex. It's all to different types of things. And just like Katie said, some of the guys, even though we're never probably ever going to see each other face to face because we're all over the place. We're all over the United States. We have another smaller room where we come together and talk about what are some of our experiences. What have we gone through? Some guys have not had top surgery yet. Some guys have not had their hysterectomies yet. There are different stages of where everybody is, but we come to this room and we can talk. And so therefore, I find myself being able to navigate through that in a clearer manner, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, like I said, I'm not completely out at work. Some people know, a whole bunch of people don't.
Right.
But I still understand that my voice and my story and my experiences actually are avenues of advocacy that set other people free.
Right.
So yes.
Yeah. So that concludes our first trans experience panel. I want to thank Tiana, Kayla, Kaden, JL, and the Nations Foundation for hosting, or for being here, and for me for hosting. Again, I want to say, please come out June 6th for Among Gays. All proceeds go to Nations at Birth Theater. We are screening Port Authority. Thank you for everyone for watching. Please support Nations Foundation in any way you can. Food donations, showing up, saying hi, be a part of the Transcend program.
And don't forget Mr. and Miss Nation, September 24th, 2022. You can contact myself or Zakia on Facebook.
Also, I want to say tune in for our next Trans Experience panel, part 2. We have another great panel with some more faces, and that will happen on June 16th
Cool.
from
Thank
7
you all.
to 8.
Love y'all. Thank you.